Hi there, and welcome to Lesson 4 of Simple Start Homeschooling. In our last video, we talked about finding your homeschool rhythm by choosing your homeschool teaching style. Kathy and I are thrilled to have you with us today as we discuss the question, so how do I actually teach my children?
In this lesson, we're going to talk about curriculum, co-ops, guest instructors, extracurricular activities, and character development. So let's continue now as if your family has agreed that you will try homeschooling for this next year. Remember, you don't need to make a forever decision. If it turns out that this decision was not the best fit for you and your family, you have the legal right to enroll your child into your district public school system on any day of the month of the school year.
With that said, we also urge you not to make that decision based on one difficult day or week. Instead, we encourage you and your family to commit to a year at a time. All of us have rough days where it's harder to engage and be our best selves. And sometimes a day of grace needs to happen to get back on track. So focus on what your child is passionate about that day or that week. Let them spend extra time doing that. Or maybe you need to just take an afternoon or a day or a week off. Give them a chance to regroup and give yourself the opportunity to regroup as well.
As soon as you have 100% decided to homeschool, I recommend having that fun family meeting that we mentioned earlier, where you'll choose your school name, let everyone know your plan for the upcoming school year. Truly, you need everyone on board for this to work well.
You then want to choose your curriculum with the understanding that you have the freedom to change that curriculum if it turns out to not be the best one for you and your kids. In addition, you don't have to use the same curriculum for all of your subjects. Just like your homeschool style, you can mix and match the curriculum that you use.
Right. And in the resources attached to this lesson, you'll find a list of popular curriculum options with a brief description. For us, in K through 8th grade, we chose a mixture of the following 3 curriculum. We used Abeka, Saxon Math, and Sunlight.
I remember my mom intensely deliberating over the various curriculums, interviewing many homeschooling families to ask what worked for them and what didn't, because it can be an investment to pick out a curriculum. In the end, she chose Abeka because it was colorful, clear, considered an advanced curriculum, pushing kids a bit harder in their education. She chose Saxon Math because they taught lessons with 80% repeating information and 20% new, so it was designed to build a child's confidence in math. And she chose Sunlight because it is a literature-based program, teaching history and government, those types of subjects, through small literature books that emphasize reading and imagination. While we've always been a computer-friendly family due to my dad's IT consulting business, there weren't a lot of online curriculum options when we were being homeschooled, but there are a lot of options in that area now. So that's another avenue that you can consider.
Deciding the curriculum that works best for you can be a daunting task, I remember, with the multitude of options available to you. You can go with my suggestions, or you can do some research of your own. In Minnesota, there's a large homeschooling conference in the early spring called MACHE, Minnesota Association of Christian Home Educators, where there are rows after rows after rows of businesses selling their educational curriculums and breakout sessions, encouraging you on your homeschool journey. If you have friends homeschooling, ask them what's worked for them and what hasn't. And it never hurts to check if they'd like to share their books that they're through with, either for free or at a small charge.
A couple of quick tips for assessing a curriculum without reading it yourself cover to cover. First, review the table of contents for a high level of scope of what that curriculum will cover. Next, look online for reviews, the best and the worst, so you see the full spectrum of experiences. Third, you could join a homeschool Facebook group to seek out firsthand experience with the curriculum that you're considering. And then lastly, ask yourself a few questions. Is this age appropriate for my child? How much parental involvement is required? Does it require additional materials or resources? And does it fit with our values and our homeschool style?
To save money, you can also utilize your library, and I'd highly recommend that.
Yes.
For example, if you're doing a study about the presidents, you'll find many options for your child to be reading. Then you can have them give a verbal report to the family at dinner one night, or write a report if that's your preferred style.
It's important to remember that you don't have to continue a curriculum that isn't working for you. You are in complete authority over your child's education, and you can change your form of teaching on any given day.
An additional decision that you have is whether you will investigate the availability of a homeschool co-op near you. There are many homeschool co-ops out there now. If you decide to participate in one, You'll look at the class options and decide if that co-op will be providing the curriculum on a certain subject that year for you or just the extracurricular. We participated in a co-op in grade school, and I considered most of that to be the extra because I wanted to make sure that the kids all had their basic classes fulfilled by the end of their school year. It allowed our kids to have some variety in their education being part of a co-op, and being with peers 1 to 2 days a week was so fun for them as they did classes like choir, ceramics, theater.
I really enjoyed my co-op experience. I actually simultaneously attended 2 different co-ops during my junior high and high school years. One had programs for all grades, while the other only had opportunities for junior high and high school students. And for me, this gave me an extra chance to connect with friends and meet new people. I also felt like it was a step that prepared me to be successful in college because I had this experience where I would be once a week in a classroom setting with a teacher who was not related to me, and then I was given assignments that I was expected to complete independently by a specific deadline. I was responsible for that. As my mom mentioned, I really enjoyed this for extracurricular type classes, but I also loved it for classes that were harder for me, like math, and for classes that were trickier to teach myself at home, like sign language.
Next, you can get creative with who's teaching. I want to encourage you to ask other experts and people who also love your kids to help you out, like a retired teacher or a grandparent, family, or friends with an expertise area to assist for a day or a month.
Remember, you not only get the answer books, but you don't also have to do it yourself. Legally, you're the parent, orchestrating and overseeing their education, but you don't need to do all of the teaching on your own. You can bring in help or join a co-op. It'll make the school year more interesting for your kids as well as for yourself.
We had my retired mom come every Friday to help with spelling tests, reading, checking papers. She loved it. Not only did our 4 kids love being with Graham, but she developed rich relationships with each of our 4 kids. I paid her a little money each week for assisting so that she would have some fun cash for her effort. We were all so blessed by her. Those are fabulous memories. In high school, our youngest needed more assistance in algebra than I could give her. So I hired a college math major to come over once a week to tutor her. It worked out perfectly. She loved it. She learned. It was extremely helpful.
Our aunt is an artist. She has her own gallery. So she provided single event art classes. There are so many options for asking others to help and bring in their knowledge and creativity into your family's learning. Sometimes a guest that came to teach during an afternoon or evening would be paid by including them in a nice family dinner.
Then there are all those extracurriculars. I personally loved the arts, so the summer before our school year started, I'd look at the schedule of the performing theaters near us. Plays, orchestras. If what was scheduled looked interesting, I'd contact that theater asking to purchase tickets for a school. Theater schedule days for the school systems to buy tickets at a much reduced rate. So as Family of Faith Academy, you need to be able to give your school's name, we would purchase tickets for 5 or 6 of us. Or sometimes we'd coordinate with other homeschool families and we'd go as a bigger group to make it just a more fun outing for the kids. I'd purchase tickets at the public school's price, like 80% off per ticket for real. This was awesome.
Check with your church to see what they may offer for classes for your kids. Our church was a huge place of involvement for our education. It offered choir, dance, puppet ministry, handbells, theater, youth group, countless volunteer options. We served together at our church as an entire family, and we joined all the available opportunities that we could. You can also check your local city magazine and see if any day classes are offered that would be fun for your family. A specialty art class, maple tree tapping, all sorts of things are available. Check with your local community center to see if any sports are being offered, like dance classes, gymnastics, or soccer.
Adding to this, we did science experiments, art classes, watched history shows from PBS, played youth sports at the YMCA, community sports at our local community center. We did monthly field trips to the theater, orchestra, science museum, and our family participated in the large theatrical productions during the Christmas and Easter season at our church.
Finally, we want to discuss another form of your child's education and learning, which is character development. What a gift you can give by being present to teach them what it is to be a person of character.
I always say we're all watching each other, the good and the bad. Just as you're watching your children display good character development, they're watching you model it. You both become accountable, and it's actually a beautiful thing. You're both growing and learning. None of us have arrived, and there's always room for growth. One example of character that we focused on in our family was that of hospitality.
Both sets of our grandparents had very little money, but both provided rich hospitality to extended family and friends. Whether it was a simple invitation to play a game or to stop in for dessert, our grandparents modeled this hospitality for our parents, and my parents have modeled it for us. Our home was the gathering place for friends and for adults. We invited guests multiple times a week for cookies, for dinner, for games and movies. We lived hospitality, and we all loved it.
Today, I have the gift of witnessing that our kids are continuing to provide this kind of hospitality at their home themselves. We're always watching each other. They saw it modeled, and now they've grown up and they're living it within their own families.
Education is not just about curriculum. It's about learning and growing in who we are and who we were made to be. It's learning to treat others as we want to be treated, to share and become selfless, to celebrate other people's wins, to understand our own unique gifts and talents and push ourselves to develop them further.
Education is all-encompassing of life, and with homeschooling, all your awake moments are learning. We're always taking in our surroundings, and we're learning. I remember getting to the end of my school year and looking over that year's scope and sequence. That is what each grade should be learning and when. And I wondered, oh my word, did I really cover everything on this? And then I looked up another scope and sequence for that same grade, and it wasn't even the same. I was stressing myself out over nothing. In reality, I actually taught more, not less, than what was expected in a school year, and so will you.
Learning isn't something to check off a list, and it shouldn't ever be something that we stop doing.
Thanks for joining us today. We will see you in Lesson 5, where we discuss the question, can anything really be considered school?
See you then.